Now, is South Africa's democracy under attack? Well, Defend Our Democracy believes it just might be. It's hosted a two-day conference to discuss the issue. eNCA reporter Moloko Moloto is there and joins us now. That is the big question, isn't it, Moloko? Very good morning to you. Is the country's democracy under attack? What are some sentiments that are coming through?
Good morning, Rofiwa Madzena. Indeed, we're coming from the Birchwood Hotel here in Boksburg outside Johannesburg. This is a two-day conference hosted by Defend Our Democracy campaign. Of course, so many questions they are asking, and of course, they have been deliberating on all those issues. Is our democracy under threat? What is the way forward? They are also discussing issues around the political, even considering political electoral reforms. And I understand that people such as Reverend Frank Chikane are also part of this. I've also seen people such as Tokom Kwanasi-Xaluva, who was chairperson of the CRL Commission. I've also seen Advocate Mujangu Gumbi, who was formerly the legal advisor to former President Thabo Mbeki. But let's get to hear more about this particular meeting from Duduetsang Medi. Ma'am, thank you so much for making time. Firstly, tell us, who is Defend Our Democracy campaign?
So Defend Our Democracy campaign came about as concerned citizens felt that there was a political crisis in this country and convened a meeting, particularly, political figures, business leaders, etc., coming together in a meeting and saying, our country is in a crisis and something must be done. And this is when Defend Our Democracy came about. And ever since, our campaigns have been around how do we go about thinking about innovative ways of fixing our country, particularly the political crisis that we find ourselves in, much of it stemming from corruption and capture.
You are on day two of this conference today. Take us through what transpired yesterday.
So yesterday we had a convening of over 300 organizations coming through to the conference and its representatives. And basically what we wanted to discuss, particularly in the plenary sections and the breakaway sections, is various issues that result in the kind of political crisis that we find ourselves in. So we talked about the issue of unemployment, particularly youth unemployment. We talked about the issue of reigniting grassroots mobilization so that people can then begin to take power of their democracy. We talked about issues of state capture and corruption in the breakaway sections. And then this is amongst the many various, we had 7 breakaway sections where, delegates talked about these issues. And then in the plenary section, we talked about the political crisis. What is the context of our political crisis? Is it affecting the material conditions of ordinary South Africans in this country? We also talked about in Mcebisi Jonas's keynote address, thinking about whether electoral reform could be, what we need for democratic renewal and change.
Yeah, well, it's all good to organize conferences and talk among yourselves. Some people can say, it's just a talk shop. What are the practical solutions? How do we resolve these issues that are confronting us that you believe are threatening our democracy?
So first and foremost, I really want to hope that the outcome of this conference is not going to be a talk show and just middle-class people talking about all of these issues. And I also want to stress that this is not a convening of middle-class people who feel like they have a vested interest in fixing our democracy. This is a broad representation of South Africa. We have young people, we have grassroots organizations, so representatives from Abahlali Basamjondolo are here. We have people who are doing grassroots community work here, and we have a broad sector of business, trade union representatives are all here. But what today really is about is coming up with action plans of how we're going to go about for democratic renewal and change. And I think this is the importance of today. Yesterday was, here are the issues, and this is what we feel needs to be tackled. Today is about, okay, so here is an action plan of how we're going to go about for democratic renewal and change.
All right, Duduezang, thank you so much. We surely have more time to spend with you, and Rofiwa, surely we will be talking with many other members of the panel or people who are participating here, just to understand how exactly we will be able to get out of this morass that as a country we find ourselves in. I've seen people such as the former cabinet ministers, Musibudi Mangena, also taking part in this. And I guess one of the questions would be whether this is a political posture, whether we are going to see the emergence of a political party perhaps contesting the elections at some point, because clearly they are unhappy with how things are being done or how our country is being run politically.
Absolutely, and of course one interesting component of these discussions, Moloko, is this notion of electoral reform and what that could do to potentially boost our democracy. We'll catch up with you a little bit later on.